Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video on the channel. Today we have with us a very special guest. He is an ex-Indian under 19 footballer. He is a person who founded the Minerva Punjab FC, and he is a person whose academy has continuously produced some of India's finest footballing talents and is still continuing to produce them. The likes of Anwar Ali, Jackson Singh, Namtamba Nauram, and that list goes on. Yes, you know who I'm talking about. It's none other than Mr. Ranjit Bajaj on the channel today. So, without wasting any more time, let's get onto the video. Hello, sir.
Hi guys, how are you?
Fine, sir. So, my name is Adarsh, and my friend Harishankar is also there. Welcome to
Hi
our
guys,
channel,
how
The
are you?
Stadium. It's
Thank
a
you, thank you,
pleasure to have you
thank you,
here.
thank you so much, guys.
Yes, sir. So, sir, how have you been? How's the COVID-19 situation been for you?
The COVID situation has
Yeah.
been bad, man. Because somebody who's used to being out of maximum time in my life, I'm used to playing in the ground.
Yeah.
Being in the ground now,
Yeah.
and now you can't. Everything other than football which is going on,
Hmm.
and that's the part which I used to not like earlier also, and that's now it's only become about that. So it's really, really sad. And looking at why it's sad is now because if अगर वो बोल भी देते ना कि by wait till March and March 31st you can start,
Yeah.
then you can look but fine, have a date. But right now you don't have a date, you don't even know what's going to happen. So it's really hard to live with the uncertainty.
Yeah. So, sir, although these all things are happening, Minerva Academy and Minerva has been very active on social media, and they have been doing a lot of things. So, can you just sum up what you have been up to in this COVID-19 situation?
This happened. Yeah, bro. So see, we thought that this is a time where we can improve ourselves because our thing to our kids used to be better than what you were yesterday. So what we did with Minerva was we said, okay, how do we improve ourselves so that let's improve the infrastructure, let's add to it. So we used to have one full-size ground. Now we have two full-size grounds. We're probably one
That's
of the
great.
only ones in India who have two full-size grounds. Then we have a nine-a-side ground, we have a seven-a-side ground, we have a five-a-side ground, we have a cemented five-a-side ground, then we have an indoor five-a-side ground. Discovered. So all these things, half the things we've added now, and we've made a brand new gym, and we made a hydrotherapy pool.
Wow, that's a lot of things.
Yes, and then on top of that, also improving the coaches. So that means basically making them get new degrees, man. So like in either in fitness or in COVID certifications or in CPR or in first aid. So everybody is actually becoming better. So that by the time this ends, we are better than where it left off.
Yeah.
So it should not be as affected us. In fact, it's made us better.
Yeah.
If we know that we've used this time well, then it's not time wasted.
Yeah.
That's great, sir.
That's great, sir. So, one thing now talking about Minerva, and you earlier had cricket academies and all, even still. So, what was the idea behind starting these Minerva academies for football? What was the idea?
See, bhai, cricket was something. See, in India, you can't be very far away from cricket, no matter even if you try to be. So I used to always play cricket, and I used to be in the junior teams of Chandigarh, but at the same time in football as well. But football was my first love, so I went on and I chose football as my career, and I went on to play for India under 19, Santosh Trophy, Durand Cup, and everything else. But in football, that was my first love.
Yeah.
And cricket was always a passion. So it was so much of a passion that from 2003, 2004 to around 2015, I have done 21 one days and 7 test matches with the Indian senior cricket team. So I've served under Ganguly, I've served under Tendulkar and Azharuddin, so that era. And that administration got me lot. I learned a lot on how to actually be professional in sports. See, they are what BCCI is doing. They're doing well because they're doing it in a very professional manner.
Yeah.
So their grassroots really works. People keep on asking, where's the next Sunil Chetri coming from? They used to ask the same thing when Kapil Dev used to be there, and then Tendulkar came and they were asking the same thing. But now, nobody is saying There is the
Yeah.
next Virat Kohli coming from because they know there are 100 Virat Kohlis in the waiting.
Yeah.
Because there's a system which is happening. So I always knew that the only game which does not need support in our country is cricket.
Yeah.
Every other game needs support except cricket. So how about using what I've learned in cricket in the sport which I love and I want to give back to? Because what I could not have at my age here in Punjab, in Chandigarh, I want to give to boys so that people like me who gave up football because either they would have had to move to Calcutta or to Goa if they want to play professional football, or give up. And that's, I don't want talent like that to be wasted.
Yeah.
So it was a way of giving back, and I never thought that I'll be able to achieve so much in such little time. But the whole thing is, see, if you pick out, if your work is something which you love, then it's not work anymore. You
Yeah.
know. So when people said, "Yeah, I really worked hard," but it didn't feel like that because I had fun while doing it, and
You were
it was,
enjoying it.
yeah, I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
So, yeah.
the Minerva Football Academy was one of the best academies in India, which produced some of amazing talents like Jixon, Nogdamba Noram, Anwar Ali, etc. What's your opinion about the academy in India? How can academies in India develop the Indian football?
Why, unless they call themselves a fully residential academy, they cannot develop. So when even the residential academies which big clubs have, they what they do is, so under 15 I League का qualifying round आ गया तो 2 महीने पहले सबको बुला लेते हैं, फिर practice करवाते हैं और फिर खिला देते हैं, because they just want to fulfill that accreditation in there. The only people who can have great academies right now are the I League and ISL clubs, and they don't focus on it. Except Bangalore FC, I have not, and Go FC Goa. I have not seen other youth teams taking it so seriously. And Mohan Bagan and Mohammedan Sporting from the second division used to always have great teams from the youth. So if we start doing this, that means you have a proper residential academy, and that means the whole year they are trained like it's a season for the seniors, it's a season for the juniors, but the juniors don't require it for 7 months; they require it for 12 months.
Yeah.
And unless people are willing to do that and not look at profits in 3 years, then they can do well. If they look at, say, okay, fine, in 10 years I'll start making profits, it's a good plan to have a junior academy. But if you cannot, if you think that you're going to make a profit in 2 years, you're not. So we started making money from the second year, but even now, the amount of money we are making is not 100% of our budget. It's around 40%. So hopefully in 10 years, even Minerva ki baat ho rahi hai, in 10 years we become so good that we'll be able to get our entire budget from just revenue of sale of players. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So now you were talking about the youth structure and the need for ISL clubs and I League clubs to invest in this youth. So and while we were doing our research, in one of your interviews, you were talking about the Belgium national team and how they don't have a definite league structure, but they still have an amazing national team. So, do you think India should also do what Belgium is doing, like or
Yeah. See, I tell you, if having an amazing league gave you success as a national team, I would follow that.
hmm,
So who else have tried doing that and failed? You have an amazing league in England, but their team just doesn't seem to do well at all.
yeah,
Then the same way you have an amazing league in China, which for the last 3 years has broken all records of European transfers.
Yeah.
The best players come there, but they've not even been able to qualify for the World Cup. So it's not helping them. So
yeah,
instead of doing that, what you need to do is what Belgium's league is crap, but their players are playing in the best clubs in the world.
yeah,
So Egypt's league is also crap, but their players are playing. 7 of them are playing in the Premier League, 2 of them in the German league, 2 of them in the all European leagues.
hmm,
But their team will national team to do well. Your boys need to play in the best teams in the world or best leagues in the world.
Yeah.
Then they'll be able to do well as a team, not by having a good league. So we need to focus on producing great players, not on a great product.
hmm.
Yeah. So next question, if Harishankar has any question, he can ask.
So the next question is: Are the academies in India getting proper support from the respective authorities, or what all are the supports that AFF and the respective authorities should provide?
I no, not at all. In fact, these academies and all have just started coming up now. I mean, 3 years ago, there was hardly anything. When I started off 5 years ago, there were around 30 to 40 teams who took part, I think, in the under 15 and under 18s. That's it.
Yeah.
Now they are at 30 something, but they were 40 that time. And it's grown from there. So it's not that there are only these many academies. There are hundreds of academies. See, for example, a player who is born, even if it is a Messi man, if he is born, he's not straight away born into Barcelona. He is born, and at the age of 3 or 4, he goes to a local ground. जो भी उसके सबसे पास में ground होता है ना, वहां जाता है.
Yeah.
That ground can be amateur ground run by some local coach. फिर 1-2 साल जब वहां से अच्छा होता है, तो वहां से वो कोच किसी को बोलता है कि this guy is good, so he's taken to a little bit better club. And करते 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 he works his way up and then he makes it. So what's happening is, people think that it's only the top structure, but what is more important is that the first academy and the second academy and the third academy the boy attends, if their infrastructure and their coaching styles are not good, that means he's learning the wrong basics.
Yeah.
So now what did Belgium do? So हमारा क्या होता है? When do these boys learn basics? जब under 13 I League team में पहुंचते हैं, और तब भी इनको C या D license coach पढ़ाता है. Not that they are bad, but the point is that it should be a B license coach and not teaching them when they are 12 and 13, because you cannot teach basics then. You can only improve them. You should be teaching basics at the age of 5 and 6 with B license coaches. And how do you do that? So it's not the fault of C and D license coaches that they are C and D licensed, because AIFF has made it so impossible and tough for licensing to happen. That means एक तो courses ही बहुत कम होते हैं, higher you keep on going. Like A license course के लिए लोगों को 2-2 साल wait करना पड़ता है. एक A license course होता है. B license साल में एक होता है maximum. C license बहुत हो जाते हैं क्योंकि that's a way of them making money. And whereas it should be so cheap, that means suppose an A license costs 20,000, B license 10,000, C license 5,000, D license 2,500. The cost. अगर ये cost होंगी, nobody, including you, Harishankar, including you, भाई, nobody will think twice about it कि मैं license के लिए जाऊँ ना जाऊँ. चलो फेल भी हो गए तो क्या हो गया, फिर दे देंगे यार. फिर हो गया तो फिर क्या, फिर दे देंगे. यहाँ पे किसी की औकात नहीं है. अगर एक बार साला बी लाइसेंस में फेल हो गया, लाख रुपए चला गया मेरी जेब से यार, कौन देगा दोबारा? ठीक है, मैं बी लाइसेंस घर पे ठीक हूँ. So you shouldn't make it a lottery for them and make it so unthinkable for a local. See, it's a common man's game, and the people who are interested in coaching are not millionaires. They can't afford lakhs in coaching. I mean, that's like making a class 10 and class 12 की education करनी है तो तुम्हारे लाखों रुपए देने पड़ेंगे. तो फिर हमारे तो एजुकेशन सिस्टम ही फेल हो जाता. कोचिंग इज अ पार्ट ऑफ एन एजुकेशन सिस्टम. यू कांट मेक मनी फ्रॉम दैट. दैट हैज टू बी वेरी चीप एंड एक्सेसिबल टू एवरीबॉडी. सो बेल्जियम ने ये किया. बेल्जियम के पास आज 6,000 5,000 बी लाइसेंस कोच है. इंडिया के पास इट्स इन हंड्रेड्स द बी लाइसेंस कोचेस. एंड बेल्जियम पॉपुलेशन इज 1 crore and our population 138 crores.
That's
so the main thing is, अगर हम इतना चीप, चलो अपने 5,000 का कर दिया, and we start producing what 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 के, मतलब जो हमारे लोकल एकेडमी का कोच है ना, he is also B license. Why? उसने 4 बार ही ट्राई किया बट मिल गया लाइसेंस. So his basics are very strong. So जो हमारे बच्चे भी जा रहे हैं लोकल स्कूल में सीख रहे हैं, जो लोकल जिम टीचर है हमारा, मतलब जो लोकल स्कूल का टीचर है हमारा, फिजिकल एजुकेशन टीचर, वो भी बी लाइसेंस करेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि उसको लगेगा चलो ठीक है मेरी यार, I'll be respected in my kids and I am a B license. Yeah. And because it's going to cost him 5,000, and then he can start his coaching after school and he can charge that money and he can also make a livelihood out of it. But what he'll be teaching to the kids will be great because he's a B license coach and he's at the time when you need the basics to be right. That means at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. That means we will be having a proper structure and the proper youth development if we follow the, like that.
Exactly. See, फुटबॉल खेली जा रही है, बट जब हम फुटबॉल खेलते थे स्कूल में, तेरे को याद है, हम जब क्लास 1, 2, 3 में होते थे, they used to just throw a ball in the middle of all the boys and say play. So जहाँ पे फुटबॉल होती थी 20 लड़के वहीं पे होते थे, याद है ना?
It's still the same, sir. It's still the same.
Nobody even telling us कि ये करो, nobody, just give a ball, खेलो, and 20 people running this side, 20 people running that side. And that is the age to teach them the basics, and nobody taught us that. Nobody taught me that. I didn't learn the basics until I was in the under 19 Indian football team. That's the first time someone taught me basics of football.
Yeah.
And I had to get there on my own talent and then learn that. Imagine how many boys are left out just because no one has taught them the basics.
Hmm. Yeah, talking about the coaches situation, we recently saw the president of All India Federation of Coaches coming up and addressing their issue right now. Many coaches aren't able to meet their expenses. They are taking up various jobs. So, don't you think the current situation of these coaches will always make future aspirants hesitant to take up this coaching degree, and that will reduce the number of coaches?
Totally. See, why I also run Armed Forces Academy, and we are the oldest and largest in India for armed forces. 1/4 of the Indian Army is a Minerva.
Oh,
That's a huge bloody number.
yeah.
And we've been doing this since 1955. So हम वहाँ पे we tell the public, the normal civilians, that the next generation of warriors will only come when they see how the last generation of warriors who fought in wars are honored or not honored by the public of India. The same way, the next generation of coaches will also only come into coaching when they see the last generation of coaches being looked after. So the last generation of coaches they see are leaving coaching and taking up jobs selling vegetables or going and working as security guards. Nobody will want to join coaching.
Yes.
But when they see that, okay, there's a pandemic, the only people who are being looked after are the coaches and everybody else is screwed, everybody will say, yeah, theek hai, I wish I was a coach then. Football coach hota, to is time mera khayal rakh rahe hote. So it's a great thing what AIFC has done and Mr. Dinesh Nair has done.
Yeah.
And Mr. Aditya Thackeray was helping in that, and we are helping in that, and a lot of people are helping them. So we want more and more people, especially kids who can afford it. They can probably collect from all the other kids, monthly supplies or anything else which can help their coach. Because this is the time the coach needs you than when the kids need the coach.
Yes.
So many football experts says that the Indian women's team would reach the World Cup much earlier than the men's team. What's your opinion on this?
I totally agree. I totally agree that they will reach the World Cup. See, it's just matter of just normal knowledge, man. See, we are ranked in the hundreds. They are ranked in 50s. And 32 teams take part. Who's closer? They are closer. So, if we have to qualify for the World Cup, we need to beat teams like Bangladesh and Afghanistan and Sri Lanka 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. We are bloody drawing and losing to them. Whereas the women's team are thrashing them. So they are ranked in Asia. If you want to qualify for the Asian quarterfinals, then you have to be in top, basically the top 8 teams, 11th, 12th, or 13th in Asia, women's. Whereas men's, we are ranked a little bit lower. So to make up 3 or 4 spaces is much easier than to make up 10, 20 spaces. That is why it's faster. And on top of that, in the men's game, when you're talking about reaching the top 4 from Asia, you're talking about beating countries like South Korea and Japan and Qatar, who have now become the champions. So they also became the champions because they had a generation who've been brought from outside, and it's not actually Qataris playing the half the generation from outside.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they've got Qatari citizenship, no problem, they're playing. But it's not that overnight they were made. They actually planned for this, and it was a 10 to 20-year plan where they said that we'll get the World Cup also, we'll become Asian champions, we'll do this. And they planned a 20-year plan, they reached there. So, it's easier for the women to reach. In fact, for example, Rangers is a Premier League club in women. I don't see an Indian man being signed there in Rangers. That would have been the biggest news India has ever produced, that an Indian striker has got the number 10 at Rangers FC.
Yeah.
Whereas it's happened. It's happened for a woman, and kudos to her. So it's not about, it's not the first Indian man, it's the first Indian who's played in a Premier League club, and that goes to her. So great for her and good India.
So, but don't you think that men's football itself isn't getting a lot of recognition, but women's football is also not getting that, even not getting what men's football is getting? Don't you think?
Yes, see, the first thing when the Women's World Cup was announced should have been that it should have been that very second compulsory that all I League clubs and ISL clubs should have a women's under 17 team.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
that does? Then you would have got a fucking pool of 20 teams into 30 players, 600 under 17 players to choose from.
Yes.
And that would be your job, and you would have made them play in a league the whole year, and your job would have been done for you. Whereas that was not made it. So unless you want to develop football, like they have developed the boys football, that they've gone from the under 13 now, the BB leagues under 13, 15, 18, they need to do the same thing with women. If they don't do that with women, women's football will never improve. Our women are playing the way they are playing because, see, they are that good at this moment. But if you don't support them, they'll keep on going down the ladder, not up the ladder. And we really need to stand up and urge everyone to start supporting them. I've already promised that the moment the women's league actually becomes a league, that means it's 3 months, 4 months, and that means I can keep the women here and train with me as a proper team for at least 6-7 months, including pre-season. Then it makes sense to have a team. But again, even the Indian Women's League is such a farce because it happens for 30 days, and there's no point of taking part in a 30-day tournament.
That can't be called a league, sir. That can't be
Not
called a
a league
league.
at all. It's a one single venue tournament, and women don't get any advantages like playing 5 practice matches in 10 days.
Yeah. So now I want to ask you about, we were talking about the youth development, we were talking about women's football. So the sports minister Kiran Rijiju has come out and told about the 5 development zones he is trying to bring in. So what's your opinion that India is finally getting a sports minister who is aware of football in the country and is doing something for football and other sports in the country?
I wish he had started this at the beginning of his term and not listened to Mr. Praful Patel because I think he first gave them a chance कि ठीक है तुम करके दिखा लो, and now he's realized that these guys are useless, man. We need to do something on our own. That's why he's realized it because वो देख रहा था कि क्या हो रहा है, and he realized it कि ऐसे फुटबॉल नहीं होती प्रोड्यूस, इनको जहाँ पे जो करना चाहिए वो नहीं कर रहे हैं. And the idea he's come up with is what AFF should have done 10 years ago. But it's great that it's happening now. And that's what I've been shouting. You need to start, जो मैंने किया, you need to start at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 12 is too late. That's why he's got the right idea. Go and identify kids under the age of 11. Not because 11, 12, 13 तो हो गया ना, I-League से identify हो गया.
Yeah.
उससे नीचे जाओ, उससे नीचे जाके शुरू से पता करो. Because जो अगला हमारे को अगर मेसी और रोनाल्डो ढूंढना है ना, हाँ संदेश जिंगन ढूंढना है, गुरप्रीत सिंह संधू ढूंढना है, 13 साल की उम्र पे शुरू कर दो. You want to find a Messi, na? You want to find a Mohamed Salah? Go to the age of 5, 6, 7. Within 5 years, you'll find.
Yeah. So it should be a long term. Now we can't do anything to qualify for the World Cup.
Japan कहता हमने 2050 में World Cup जीतना. मतलब के
They are planned.
वो लड़के अभी तक पैदा भी नहीं हुए. उनकी प्लानिंग ये है कि वो पैदा भी नहीं हुए हैं जिन्होंने वो World Cup खेलना है.
They are well planned.